about 3 weeks ago I saw a bright ball of fire in the sky, which I suppose you could say that it was brighter than a star, but it had an exterior sort of ring round it. And I observed this for about half an hour, and at first I thought it was an aircraft, but after seeing other aircraft passing round it, I realised this wasn't an aircraft, but it was a sort of a bright ball of fire. So I can, so explain it as, really.
Well, I think it's a load of absolute nonsense and rubbish, and a lot of people's imagination running away with them.
Well, it was just this humming noise I heard, going along the road about 7 miles from Banbury one evening, and, as I went by this certain spot in the road, the noise sort of came sort of to me, a real loud humming noise.
Well, I don't either believe or disbelieve in UFOs. I'm one of these people that believe that it is not beyond the realms of possibility that there are UFOs, but at the same time, it's a bit like heaven and hell. You can't prove that it's there and you can't disprove it's there.
I know they exist. I've had experience of them myself, and I'm very sure about that.
Then where do they come from?
Well, that's a more difficult question. The common theory is that they are extraterrestrial spaceships, people from other planets visiting us, just as we're sending spaceships to the moon.
Could you show me some of the shapes that are reported as having been seen here in the Banbury area?
Well, yes, I gather we get pyramid-shaped objects, and this is one that's definitely been seen here. That's quite interesting type.
That looks like a pair of dumbbells.
It does indeed look like a pair of dumbbells, yes. Other common types are sort of cigar shape, or just spherical or circular objects, very often glowing brightly. Some people report much more detailed things. This kind of object is something which has been allegedly seen over some continuous number of years now.
Very bright light when I went through to the back of the house, and it grew brighter, shimmering, and then it died down into a very sort of pale blue mist. And then a little later, we watched for some while, it appeared to take off. I'm not sure that it did, but it appeared to, and it was about as large as a removal van, I should think.
Margaret, can you describe the shape?
Yes, it was long, cigar-shaped. I noticed it when I came home one evening at the bottom of the field, and there was a terrific sort of white light around it, and I could hear a humming noise, and after watching it for about 10 minutes, I watched it sort of take off.
We can generally spot hoaxes, but then of course there are a lot of psychological symptoms with the witnesses. It's very often difficult to determine whether the witness has in fact imagined what they've seen, or whether it was in fact a real experience.
Well, here's a question that's more concrete and to the point. Why do some people see these things and others not?
Well, that is a very good question. Other than the fact that some people are obviously more perceptive than others, it does seem that these unidentified flying objects have a tendency to follow certain people around. Certain people have an affinity with them, and they just seem to encounter them more often than others.
You make it sound like seeing ghosts.
There is a similarity, a very definite similarity.
The object apparently came along here, and lowered itself down, disappeared below the horizon at an angle of about 22 degrees.
Yeah, and after that, what it took off?
Well, my first UFO I saw over London very low in 1966, and subsequently coming to Banbury, I also saw an object over here a couple of weeks ago.
What type of object, what shape and what colour?
It was a dull silver shaped, the shape of it was a dumbbell shaped object. It was very dull silver.
Any sound?
No sound whatsoever, no. It was 4:30 in the morning, actually.
What's the reaction of your wife to this experience?
Well, she was pretty frightened by that, because she was also with me on the London encounter, and at the moment she's gone back to London for a few days.
I've also heard stories here in Banbury of a lorry driver encountering an 8-foot man from Mars or somewhere.
Well, I wouldn't actually say from Mars, but the encounter is probably fact. On the London to the Oxford to Banbury road, near the Bodycock flyover, a spaceman type thing was seen in the headlights of a lorry.
What happened to the spaceman?
Well, the lorry driver got out of the cab and went up to this thing he saw on the road, he thought it was a normal man, but until he saw the size of it, and it came towards him, he ran back into the cab, sounded this horn of his cab, and the monster, whatever it was, ran and jumped over this hedge. And this time another lorry driver came up, and together they watched a craft, a disc-shaped craft, they explained, take off from a field nearby.
I find the majority of people see something and then perhaps they let their imagination run away with them, and it's very difficult to sort out which ones they imagined and which ones were in fact real.
Quite frankly, it comes down to this, doesn't it? And you admitted this in an earlier answer. You have no proof that these things exist. It could be a lot of eyewash, and you yourself haven't seen anything that you can really prove.
No, unfortunately, I can't prove it. I've seen things myself which have appeared to be physical, solid objects, but I certainly can't prove that they're there. There are cases on record where they seem to have left physical artifacts behind them, but it just makes the mystery more involved.
I don't know anything about mysteries, and are you in fact having us on? You know, in this country we've got a highly developed defence system with very up-to-date radar, and surely if anything was getting into our atmosphere from outside, we would know about it.
Well, if these are in fact other military powers invading our airspace, well, I think we would know about it. These things are probably not as tangible as that. Maybe they wouldn't show up on radar. Sometimes they do. Sometimes some people can see them and not others.
Well, frankly, isn't it in fact fair for someone to say to you that it's a load of hogwash?
I can understand some people saying that, but that mainly only arises when they haven't looked into the subject deeply enough. Certainly there's so many angles of it, and we do have to deal with so many people who are in fact misleading us, that it's quite understandable for people to think that it's a load of hogwash.
I'm not personally convinced, Peter, you know, although I've been impressed by the genuineness of the people I've spoken to about it. But with the two military airbases very close, I feel there could still be a logical explanation for what's been seen and what's been alleged to have been going on at this stage.
I put it to an investigator this morning that in fact it's a load of hogwash. Would you agree?
Well, I wouldn't put it quite as strongly as that. The people I've spoken to, they've obviously seen something, but as a journalist at this stage, you know, I keep an open mind on the on what's going on, if anything.